I find as women, we grossly undercharge, making sure they're pricing themselves in a way that supports their desired lifestyle.
You are listening to the Superbloom Coach Podcast, the podcast for life coaches ready to 10x their business. Today, I have a wonderful guest, Tania Brown. She is a certified financial planner and accredited financial counselor dedicated to empowering women over 40 to confidently transition from corporate employee to coaching entrepreneur. For over 2 decades, Tania has provided invaluable financial guidance to thousands of employees at Fortune 500 companies. She has been a Forbes contributor and has provided financial expertise to several publications, including Business Insider, USA Today, MarketWatch, and Bloomberg. Her passion for what she does comes from the gaps she uncovered while planning her own transition. Frustrated, she built a financial roadmap addressing the unique financial and emotional challenges of women transitioning to a full-time coaching business. Tania, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
So we are in like an online course together with there's like a coaching component, and you came on and you got coached. And as soon as I heard what you did, I was like, oh, I have to talk to this lady. I was like, this is so perfect. I feel like our audiences are just so aligned. These coaches who are ready to take it full time, to really step into that next chapter. So you weren't always in finance and the entrepreneurial space though, right? Can you share your story of like how you got here?
I have a lot of decades, so I'll kind of go back. So I'm ex-military, so interestingly enough, one of my favorite assignments is teaching cadets how to survive a grenade assault course. Excellent story to tell for my men trying to date my teenage daughters, by the way. But I oftentimes say my ability to remain calm and keep people calm in explosive situations have lent itself to my 20 plus year career. If you would have asked me, there may be checkpoints where I had considered entrepreneurship, but not really. I was like, no, I'm good. And then came the performance review that changed it all. And I think I mentioned it to you. I'm in a performance review, the aftermath of it, just between disbelief at what I just heard. I sent an email to my leadership team 6 weeks before a sales meeting, and I would not be able to attend the meeting, potentially because I was closing on my house. I had to be present at the lawyer's office. That email was deemed a lack of team spirit, and I was penalized, I believe, 2 cycles for that. That lack of control over my life, I just felt helpless, was the catalyst that ignited. And I just instantly knew I never wanted to feel this helpless again. But also, I didn't want others to feel that way. That was the beginning of almost immediately an exit strategy to become a financial coach. And I would love to tell people it was just off riding to the sunset, but yeah, no, I stumbled, I fell, I pivoted so many times. I feel like my head spun like that girl from The Exorcist and took a job at one point because I was so lost, but I just stuck with it. Along the way, I realized there was this insane gap between the personal financial needs of someone planning a job exit and the business startup needs. And I just started to combine both, and immediately people were like, how are you doing this? The other thing I uncovered is there's a huge emotional component, particularly for my women over 40, Gen X homies, hey, and for all of you. We have decades of being taught a winning formula for success. You work hard, you see results. Well, in business, it doesn't work that way. You work hard and you see nothing, and you see nothing for a while. So that mindset shift, the identity shift, where you've built 20 plus years of being known for something, especially if you're in a career that people admire. We don't want to admit it, but there is a little bit of a boost you get from being admired in a field when you fought to earn the income and then you're going to walk away from it. So all of those shifts that I was living in real time, I realized my clients were experiencing. So really together started navigating that, and that became a natural component of the program. Also, as I was coaching, interestingly enough, it wasn't initially coaches, it was anyone who wanted to exit. But after a while, I just found a natural affinity for coaches. I was a coach myself, so I understood the journey. Additionally, I loved working with women with enough compassion and courage to take what are sometimes painful and embarrassing parts of their lives and wanting to use that to help others solve the problems they overcame. From the bottom of my heart, I truly believe when you unleash women to impact the world, they will change the world. And this is my tiny way of just helping them along the way.
Yes, you are speaking my language. I love it so much. We talked about this, but we both just love coaches because, like you said, it's that feminine, and not to say there's not amazing men coaches out there, but just that female energy of nurturing and supporting and really the compassion that we see with our coaching clients can be really awesome.
And power. I'm like, you know what? I don't know how many people push out a something pound baby, be able to roll over, take care of other kids, go back to work, and do all of these things. I see women as so incredibly powerful. We have to navigate so much, especially for those of us in a corporate world. I want that power unleashed for those that have a different vision for how they want to use their gifting.
You know, it's crazy because I actually just saw this meme or this Instagram post that was saying it was the 50th anniversary of women being able to get their own credit cards without men having to sign for it. And I feel like, you know, we really are the first generation of women to be able to build our own wealth, be able to build these businesses on our own terms. And I just love that we have that opportunity, but I think sometimes we forget that, like, that's just not the way it's been. Women have not been allowed in these places. And what I think is really interesting is you were saying, like, women in these corporate careers and places where they weren't always allowed before as well. It was like sort of a boys' club and, you know, places where just careers that were traditionally men. Sometimes I see with a lot of my own clients, you know, I have a lot of clients who are doctors trying to go full-time in life coaching, lawyers as well. And they fought so hard and they were up against so much like sexism and just discrimination, just being a woman in like a man's world, that it's hard for them to let go of those titles, right? Like, it's hard to, like you were saying, almost the status and like the title that they've worked so hard to earn. It's hard to then be like, oh, but now I want to do this other thing.
Yeah. It's hard for the titles that get put on you, and it's hard for the titles that get taken off. I mean, I would say one of the things that probably made me a little bit unique is that I have made leaps in different stages of my life and all the stuff that comes with it. I made the leap when I was young and single. I made the leap, like, I didn't get married till I was older. So for all of you out there that are single with no kids, I see you, I hear you. It is sometimes people forget that you know we existed. And if you don't have a kid, you're not complete as a person. If you don't have these things lined up, so it's like all of these things. So you begin to re-identify yourself according to culture, and I am guilty. I identified myself with climbing up the corporate ladder. I identified myself when I finally got over six figures and above, when I got the executive title. And let's just like to be real talk, when I tell someone what I do and I get that look of admiration and I'm like, oh, and you know, it gives you this sense of worth. And when you switch to owning a business, all of a sudden, all the things you've done to build who you are disappear. Now, when you go into the cocktail parties, instead of, oh, this is what you do. Oh, really? You gave up that for this? Or you want to be a coach? That thing again? Is that like a cult? Like, so you have to almost rebuild what your sense of self is now. And I love my women and I want to walk them through this so they don't go through the shock. As a matter of fact, I was at a conference and I had just quit my job and I was going through an identity crisis. And I'm so glad. I always say God just brought the right woman to me because I was having a moment and she was like, "What do you do?" I burst into tears. I'm not even joking. I was like, "I don't know." Oh my goodness. So I am, she was the right person. She was like, "You just quit a lucrative job, didn't you?" And I was like, "How did you know?" She did it 5 years ago. And she was like, "I understand exactly how you feel." But yes, I had a moment, not my proudest moment, but also I was my accomplishments. My confidence was my accomplishments. And now all of that was gone. Who am I? So that was really hard. Oh, the financial part. When you're used to not having to think before making a financial decision, and without that, if you're starting over, you now have to actually think before you spend money. So that identity around whether we admit it or not, or whether we know it or not, you have an identity around easily being able to spend money. Well, that's not happening if you're building a business. Now you actually have to think before you spend. Also, community. I coach my people into building community before they quit. Everyone around you typically is similar. Everybody's working. You typically hang around people who make about the same amount of money. You do the same things, and all of a sudden you can't do any of that anymore. Relationship dynamics. Oftentimes, if I would say I'm split 50-50 between women who are married and women who are not. I probably lean more single, but if you are married, I find oftentimes my females were the breadwinners. How does this shift when you've had your whole life earning money and all of a sudden you don't? That is a rough shift. So it's all that to say it is far, far more than a financial plan. Is that financial plan and a mindset shift needed for that plan to move you forward?
Yeah, that's incredible. It's so many components that I didn't consider because I hadn't gone through that myself. And really, there is that, dynamic of that identity shift. So that's like so huge. I can see where a lot of people might. Do you have a lot of clients who, they get to that point and it scares them and like they're not sure if they can move forward?
100% of the time. So I think I mentioned to you before, one of the things I love is holding space for people's dreams. So I get to intercede and remind them of their power, remind them of their why, and just encourage them to move forward. Also, as a financial coach, I love a lot of my life coaches, but well, I'm not good with money. I'm like, yes, you are. So part of the financial coaching program is not only to walk them through a step-by-step framework for that transition from employee to entrepreneur, but teaching them how to do this. So by the time you're done with me, you're confident in your finances, you know where you stand, you're confident in your pricing, like we break that down, and you're able to do this yourself. So you're able to figure out the numbers and that. And I think I've mentioned it to you. I may have mentioned it to you that I love when someone can explain a concept better than I can. So it's your transformation as a whole throughout the journey.
I'm sure it gives them so much confidence when they know how to look at their numbers and know that they're going to make it, right? Like they've got that plan. Because I feel like that must be one of the big things that holds people back.
Hey, Superbloom coaches, let's take a quick break. This episode is sponsored by my exclusive Luxury Brand Leader program. If you're serious about elevating your coaching business, then you have to check this out. Luxury Brand Leader is your chance to work with me one-on-one to totally transform your brand and realign your business for exponential growth. This is the only logo and website design program designed exclusively for coaches that builds your luxury brand and sets you up as the go-to leader you were born to be. Imagine a complete 360-degree luxury brand transformation done in just 90 days. You'll get personalized coaching, cutting-edge strategies, and the exact steps you need to become an unstoppable force in your industry. When you become a luxury brand leader, you can finally start to attract clients who daydream about working with you, and they're willing to pay the big bucks to make it happen. Imagine being able to unapologetically raise your rates, Magnetize high-paying clients, create a captivating personal brand, and showcase your high-value expertise. Are you ready for a branding experience that will revolutionize how you show up in your business? Apply to become a luxury brand leader today at mariahriona.com. Remember, spots are limited and they fill up fast. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to transform your business. Apply now.
I would love to know, because I see this so much with my own clients, these women or entrepreneurs who want to become coaches and they have been high earners, perhaps the breadwinner. What do you say to them when they're faced with this idea that financially their lifestyle is really going to change?
Part of the reason why most people choose to leave a corporate job to become a coach is so they can create their desired lifestyle. So I'm like, let's figure out what this lifestyle is. So the first part of my program is what I call setting the foundation. We define what that lifestyle is, what really matters. What are these key components you must keep on your journey? And we work to maintain it. It may be there's a longer period of time before that person is able to leave. It may mean switching to part-time work where they work on their business full-time, sort of transition. But this is your journey. You control the speed of it. You control what elements you keep and don't keep. Like just truth talk, I kept lawn service. I am not mowing a lawn. I'm originally from Brooklyn. Not happening. That was important to me. That may sound totally selfish. That may sound totally bougie. I was not quitting my job without being able to afford lawn care. That is important to me. So if it is whatever it is to you, this is what matters to you, designing your life. And then you are building this, even your journey around what's important. So you don't have to give up everything. What we do is drill down to what is the most important. So you're able to prioritize. And for the things that aren't that most important list, yes, they're let go temporarily until the business is built and then it's put back in. Also, I think a lot of people feel like it's an all or nothing. There's a middle ground. So I had someone that loved eating in Michelin star restaurants. And I was like, okay, can we do this once a quarter? Like, let's not throw everything out. Can we do this once a month? Can we maybe look at crazy places you love going to or for views and make that an occasional thing? It doesn't mean you have to give everything up. Oftentimes we find middle grounds.
Yeah, it's true. Like, I feel like, so many of us approach life in general with like this all or nothing mentality. And the thought of having to give up everything that you're used to, everything that you've come to love and enjoy through all of your hard work, I mean, that can be really daunting.
Especially for someone my age, like I'm in my 50s. So seeing this as an evolution as opposed to a pivot, I find is a great mental shift. You are evolving, especially if you're older, the decades of work you've done into something beautiful that supports the life you want. Even if you're going from a physician, attorney to a life coach, the reason why you're a physician, the things that made you a great physician, I'm pretty confident you're taking those elements into life coaching. So all it is you're transferring the best of you, how you show up best in the world, into a different vehicle. But you're not changing. Your skills are still there. They're just being repurposed in a new season.
I love this so much. One of the reasons we see our doctor clients and like professional clients not want to make that leap to life coach is the title, like we talked about, and all the prestige. There's this sunk cost fallacy where they're like, oh, but I went to medical school for this. Oh, but like I've worked so hard for this, but they're miserable and they want to be doing something else. I actually just did a whole podcast episode on like how eclectic my background was and how I use all of those things now where I'm at. Like none of our life experience is lost. It all leads us to where we are, and we take all of it with us. And if we're smart, we can market that and use that as our unique approach and our niche for our business. I love what you said about pivoting, how it's not pivoting. You're not turning away from your whole life and all of your experience. You're taking it with you. I love that so much.
And also letting them know that you're not even pivoting away from your finances. Your financial journey continues. It's just simply being transformed into something different. Because I think definitely for a lot of women, the dip in income is rough. That's why we create the plan. But I always tell people, remember in this plan, we are picking the highest priority things that are important to you. And I don't care what it is. Remember, I chose lawn service. So no matter what, it is what's important to you, we move forward. Oftentimes, I find when we work through the numbers, women are pleasantly surprised that they don't have to make as many changes as they do. The other thing I do is we go over a pricing. I have a formula called a profitable price model, and we put that in there to make sure that what they're charging is actually profitable. I find as women, we grossly undercharge. And I find walking someone through how to think about pricing gives them the confidence, but also making sure they're pricing themselves in a way that supports their desired lifestyle as well. So the life you want gets built into your pricing. It gets built into your business model. So that pricing we use to calculate what's the revenue need. So if you're telling me you want to work 5 hours a week, is your pricing going to enable you to work 5 hours a week and earn the revenue to be able to have your desired life? So as you can see, everything ties in together, but you get to decide what this looks like. You get to go at your pace. If you want to slow it down, that's fine. If you're like, I'm just ready, I am done, great. But this is your life, your design. And and one of my core business values is that I honor where people are in your journey. For the sci-fi fans, I'm Yoda. I am here to guide the Jedis, which are all of you, on your path and give you that support so you can do and make the impact you were created to make.
I see so many of my own clients, and we start working on, part of our program is we help them create their irresistible offer. And I say, okay, well, what are we going to charge for this? And they just pick numbers out of the air. Or a lot of times they are looking at their competitors or other people in their space and like, well, she charges this much, so I'm going to charge this much. But we don't know what her goals are. We don't know how her business is run. You can't just pick these arbitrary numbers because they sound good. I love what you're saying, because you really have to build your pricing to reflect the business and the life you want to have.
As a quick tip, when I'm working on pricing models with people, if I had to say the number one mistake is that when they price their models, they never consider their own time. When you are a business owner, you wear two hats. You are the overall owner and strategist of the company, but you're the employee doing work. So I strongly recommend using software like Toggle, anything to keep track of your hours, and make sure you incorporate your hours as an employee in your model. It does a couple of things. One, you ought to get paid for what you do, and this ensures that your pricing is actually profitable. But two, if in the future you want to hire, you've built that employee which is you, into your costs. So that's where I find one of the biggest hangups. But everything you say, and I always say, really, you need to be almost sometimes the first step, because we need to know what the offer is in order to figure out how to price it. So I find I work side by side with the business coaches, because they need to know they need to know what the business is, what the model is, what the offers are. And then my goal on my end is, how do we make sure the financial plan is built to support that? How do we make sure the pricing makes sense? How do we make sure that the ongoing business costs make sense? So I have a thing for acronyms. I think I have an acronym for everything, but I have a business cost model. And the model walks them through how to think about the cost, but also how to think about how this cost is related to their business. So for instance, I'll have someone who want to spend $2,000 on this software. And I'm like, how is this software going to get you to the numbers you need? $2,000 for this software. Take a look at this model. This is 60% of your cost per month. It better relate to 60% of your revenue. And just sometimes people seeing that helps them. And of course, that needs to be built into your pricing. Want the revenue, it kind of needs to pay the bills. So just helping someone holistically see how all of these seemingly disconnected moving pieces come together to help them build a life they want. And we do it step by step. So not to overwhelm. I also say I am with a person whose if math is not your love language, I am for you. I try to I demystify it. I make it simple so it's easily understood. No headaches.
Yeah, it's so crazy what you're saying. Like, we see this all the time where these entrepreneurs start these businesses and they like literally forget to pay themselves. Like, they get to a point where like maybe the business is making money, but they're not paying themselves. They don't realize that they're like the biggest part of that business, especially when they're the full-time employee.
And my business is specifically for coaches. So I would say, so I kind of understand the pain points of coaches, and coaches notorious for spending insane amounts of money on training and development. Now, I want to make it clear, I literally have a couple of business coaches. So business coaching is extraordinarily valuable, but my hot tip is find the business coach and just do what they say. just don't find 20, because each coach's model is specific to them. If you try to piecemeal models, it'll be like driving a car with four wheels going in four different directions, because each guru has their own model. You will save yourself time, money, and effort, but managing those costs. And I really am for the startup person. So that person, we want to get this right day one. So I am for that person who is, I would say, in that first 6 months I would say probably before they're leaving, in that first 6 months, I want to catch you early.
Yeah, this is such great advice, because we see this a lot. Like, coaches, nobody hires more coaches than coaches. And I see this with my own clients where they're like, oh, but my business, I'm their luxury branding coach, right? And they're like, oh, but my business coach said this, and my style coach said this, and blah, 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 blah. And it's not that anyone is right or wrong, but it's just like what you're saying. Pick one person, one program, and go with it, because getting all this different information and advice from different coaches, they all have different frameworks that they're going through, and they're not necessarily compatible. But like I said, it's not that one's right or wrong. It's just you got to see one start to finish, right?
And I try to give the public service announcement that for people who, like, as coaches, we're masters in sales psychology. And I will see, for people who are fantastic at marketing, without the ethics and without the moral boundaries, they will use that to tap into your imposter syndrome, your sense of worthlessness, everything that you are feeling. They will tap into that, and you will end up paying so much money. So we take a very good look at that training and development. Again, I truly believe in paying for a business coach. I have it. I do believe in the value. But if I see someone is loading up stuff, I'm like, well, what about this business coach here? Have you used every tool they gave you before you found another coach?
That's such good advice. It's really about, like, if you're going to get a new coach or mentor, like, do it from a place of abundance, not a place of scarcity or lack, right? Not this imposter syndrome. You answered my question, but I was curious when people should start working with you. So sort of when they have this inkling of they're ready to go.
It's really funny. I was just looking at the last few clients I had. Almost all of them have been working with a business coach. They know they want to be a coach. They have some concept of their services, and I am doing this. That's the point that I'm a good fit. But if they have no idea if they want to be a coach, then in all fairness, they're not ready for me, because I'm very specific. Like, if you're coming to me, we are coming up with a plan because you need to make the impact you're going to make. We need to do this. But if you're not there, no. If you have no idea of what you want to do, to me, that needs to be a first step, because what are we planning for? For me, again, once again, that person who has an idea of what they want, even perhaps they've had a couple of beta clients as a side hustle, and they are ready to make that move, I would really prefer to catch them ideally 6 months in advance, because there's so many parts of my program. Like, for instance, I have kind of a risk assessment. I have a benefits review. I encourage people to get every doctor's, dentist appointment, every health possible related appointment done before they turn in their notice. And this came from what happened with the person I worked with. Unfortunately, I caught her after she turned in her notice, went to a doctor's appointment, and found she needed surgery. She was extraordinarily lucky that she worked for a fantastic employer who extended her resignation letter until after she recovered from surgery. But had she not had that, she had been out of pocket thousands of dollars. So there are just those things. Reviewing your documents. I work with a lot of corporate executives. I work with a lot of women who may be the exception to some of those new non-compete rules. Are you in a competitive industry? Are there rules? Make sure you get them reviewed by an attorney, because the last thing you want is to get a cease and desist letter that can cost you thousands of dollars. Read your employer documents in advance. If you're trying to use intellectual property that you created in your business, can you even legally do this? So I want to catch people early enough so we can walk through these potential risks to their savings. I do not want it to be used up in legal costs. I do not want it to be used up in medical costs. And for my executive women also, this is where I think my CFP background kicks in. We review their equity compensation. Do you fully own the amount your employer put into your retirement plan? Is there a number of time? What's the time frame before you own it? I had one person that was going to quit months before she completely owned it. I was like, let's wait until afterwards. We are not leaving money on a table. You work too hard for this employer. If you're getting bonuses, can we time your leaving with after the bonus? If you have stock options, can we make sure we time your leaving with where you get all the equity that you're entitled to, and understand the tax implications of that? So this is why I say it's so important to start this early. I've literally saved people thousands of dollars in mistakes because I was able to catch some of the stuff they were about to do and say, let's do this, or let's move forward with this.
So much of the stuff you just mentioned, it's things that wouldn't even cross my mind, you know? And I think a lot of times we have these dreams to go into business, and it's so like heart led. You're just like, just do it, right? But it's like, you know, you want to do it and not feel all this backlash from it. So I love that, like, you really nurture the dream, but do it in a practical way where they can feel really like secure about their decision to move forward. I think that's amazing.
I had someone, and she was a lovely person, but one of the things I do is a 90-minute intensive. So it's one time, 90 minutes, and she was getting ready to just take this leap. And I remember telling her that guessing and leaping is a beautiful social media post, but it is a horrible financial strategy. I want every woman to launch successfully. You will do yourself so much service to take a couple of steps back, map out a plan, think through the potential risks to those plans, and move forward. As you know, owning a business has its own emotional roller coaster. Your finances do not need to be on that roller coaster as well.
This has been such an amazing conversation. It's so wonderful how you just meet the right people at the right time, because I feel like everything we talked about, I was having a lot of these conversations with my clients, but I'm not the expert, right, in the financial space. I'd really love to know, For anyone listening who is dreaming of becoming a coach, but they've got a lot of hurdles ahead of them, they're like, in that corporate position, or they're the doctor, what would you say to that coach?
Oh, I've so been there. Hugs. I give everybody hugs. I do not mean this in a self-serving way. Schedule a discovery call with me, please. Discovery call, literally, it's a 30-minute call, and it is designed to help you discover your best next step. For those that are people of faith, I have prayed with people on calls. I have directed other people with 20 years of experience. If I'm not the right fit, I can point you to who is. So I'm like, my goal is that you leave with clear direction, whether it's me or someone else. So it is not that you automatically go into my program, it's that you have the next best step. So I would say for someone who just overwhelmed, doesn't really know what to do, or the ones that have this dream, no one to share it with because people don't believe in them, I will be that safe space where you can just tell me your dreams. I am not going to stomp on them. We are going to find a practical path forward. Once again, if it's not with me, you will have direction by the end. And if it is with me, then the next step would be would be one of our intensive, where we begin to map out the plan for you. So I would say if I am not the alternative, find community. So find a Facebook group, something where you can hear other people, because sometimes hearing that you're not alone, hearing that you don't think you're good enough, hearing that you don't think your idea have merit, every single person have thought that before you. Will anyone pay for my service? Yes, they will. But go to communities, and as you start to hear all of this, you realize, oh, everyone feels this way, and you're able to move forward.
Well, I know that there are going to be so many people who want to connect with you and learn more about your services. Can you tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you and the best way to connect with you?
Best way, you can go on my website, www.TaniaPBrown. There's a Tania Brown out there, so we got to have the P in the middle. TaniaPBrown.com. Once you go on the website, you look to your right, book a call, book a discovery call. You can tell I'm so excited. I love hearing dreams. So I love just hearing your dreams. I love hearing the direction you want to go in. I love hearing your heart. I am all here for that.
Well, thank you so much, Tania. Thanks for sharing all your insights and all of your experience with us. This has been an amazing conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's just been such a joy talking to you. I feel like we're just kindred spirits. So excited.
I agree. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Superbloom Coach, the podcast for life coaches ready to 10x their business. If you enjoyed today's episode, I know you'll love my free course, 5-Figure Clients, the secret to attracting high-ticket coaching clients. Inside, I'll show you how I went from attracting bargain hunter clients to exclusively booking clients at a 5-figure price point. If you're ready to start working with clients who understand the tremendous value you bring to the table and to stop working with clients who don't, then this course is for you. Over 4 days, you'll learn why offering a high-ticket service is better for you and your client, how to craft your irresistible high-ticket offer that practically sells itself, and the 2 things you need to convey in order to sell high-ticket services. Also, how to position yourself as a luxury brand leader so you can charge a premium for your top-notch services. Sign up now at mariahriona.com/free-course and start attracting those high-ticket clients today. Don't miss out on this valuable opportunity to elevate your coaching business. Get instant access to your first lesson. And before you go, make sure to subscribe to Superbloom Coach so you never miss an episode. We've got some incredible content lined up to help you 10x your coaching business and achieve your dreams. If you found value in today's episode, can you do me a quick favor and leave a review? Your feedback helps me reach more coaches like you who are ready to elevate their business. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you next time.